I'm guessing that you probably saw this as overdue based on our prior conversations, but what does a DOJ led by Todd Blanche look like?
Well, I think the DOJ by Todd Blanche is just going to be a more intense version of the DOJ by Pam Bondi in terms of his professed loyalty to Donald Trump. So I don't see a lot of changes. He was kind of her henchman to affect all the whims of Donald Trump. So I don't see a big change coming from there, and that's going to actually be unfortunate.
Interesting. She's being reassigned, says the president, transitioning to a job in the private sector. I hope when I get fired someday, people frame it that way. What would a former attorney general like Pam Bondi be doing? Does she go back into the legal sector on a private level? Robert, what do you think?
Well, I think Pam Bondi is going to have a heck of a hard time because I think she's facing bar disciplinary challenges. I don't see how she keeps her bar license given the things that she did as attorney general. And to name two things, filing charges against James Comey without any probable cause when it was clear from the beginning that no crime occurred. The fact that she could not get a grand jury to indict him. I mean, the grand jury will almost indict anybody. And the fact that she couldn't achieve that because she had no case, and it's clear from the outset. And it was also clear that she was just doing it because Donald Trump wanted to attack his perceived political enemies. Lawyers get disbarred for that. We're not supposed to do that. We're supposed to make objective decisions under the law with evidence. So Pam Bondi goes back to Florida. I'm not sure there's many law firms that are going to want to hire a lawyer who's facing bar proceedings and likely going to be disbarred very soon. It could be she'll go to some kind of Republican think tank, cushy little thing or whatever. I don't see how getting fired is a transition to the private sector when you're working in the government sector. That's a firing.
Yeah, well, it's amazing that I think, as Matt Bennett said earlier, the guy who was known for firing at the end of every episode of The Apprentice just can't seem to get that word out. Robert, then let's go a little further down that road. What will be Pam Bondi's legacy at the Department of Justice?
I think it's going to be one of, ultimately, I think it's going to be one that's one of ridicule. And I can't really phrase it any other way. She was essentially ineffective at doing the job. But she was ineffective at understanding the basic foundation of the job. The Attorney General, like all cabinet members, take an oath to support the Constitution. They don't take an oath to support the president. Now, they can be fired, of course, by the president, but our government officials are not supposed to be personally loyal to a president of the United States. They're loyal to the Constitution. That's everything from our generals and our soldiers to our attorney generals and our EPA director. All of them take an oath to defend the Constitution, not to defend a given presidency. And the fact that she didn't know that is really problematic. And I'll give you one example. Early in her tenure, she sent an attorney general memo to all attorney general offices. Now, those memos usually define things like how to chase after terrorists and prosecute narco traffickers. Her memo was a directive that no attorney general's offices should ever use paper straws again, because Donald Trump had filed an executive order saying no paper straws because he doesn't like paper straws in one of his 12 Diet Cokes a day. To have an attorney general of the United States send a memo about paper straws is just absurd, and it shows the lengths at which she was willing to basically suck up to Donald Trump.
Well, he says she was a great American patriot and a loyal friend, and I guess he really means this. He says, "We love Pam," which is not something you hear a lot when you get fired. What does this mean for 2020, if anything? Particularly, Robert, if we have an acting attorney general, does that handicap somehow the attorney general's ability to prosecute these cases?
Well, I think it might mean that some attorney general offices will go back to plastic straws. But leaving that aside, yes, having an acting attorney general is difficult because there's certain statutory functions. There's a time period at which an attorney general can only act. An attorney general has to actually be ratified by the Senate. So the president appoints them. So whether Todd Blanche, given his missteps, can get that is going to be in question, especially with the growing unpopularity of Donald Trump and also the unpopularity among Senate Republicans who don't fear him as much as they did because they're not as worried about him putting a mega primary against them. So this may be a bumpy ride for what happens. And the problem for the country, Joe, is the Attorney General does important things. They prosecute narco traffickers. They prosecute people for federal crimes, frauds foisted upon the American people. It's an important job that needs to have serious people in it. And the fact that we don't and haven't had that, we've all had to suffer.